Here we are, live and ready. All right, cool. Well, bit of a different format for the Self-Liberation Project podcast this week, but we'll do a live on Instagram here and just see how it goes. So, first of all, everyone, welcome. Thank you for being here for today. Today, we're actually going to get into something, it tends to be quite deep for a lot of people, but it happens for all of us and what's holding you back. But before we jump into it, there's something that myself and Christy do on a regular basis. We did it prior to starting our coaching sessions when we were working together. I do it with people that I'm speaking with because it's a way for us to actually stop for a minute. Part of the problem with, even with our last episode, because we've got a few outtakes which happened towards the end, but one thing when we finished last week, we kind of stopped and we're like, you know what, there was no flow there. We didn't really flow. There's something was off. And part of that was, we got a little bit distracted, but sometimes we just need to give ourselves a moment to stop, take a couple of breaths, and just connect. And this is what I do with my clients all the time, because we do need to connect, because sometimes I'm out of sync, because I've been working, been doing other things at home with the kids or whatever it is. And then when we have to show up powerfully at any given moment, we can be still distracted or still carrying all that energy from everything else that we've been doing. So we need to give ourselves that time and space to be able to just connect. So that's what we're going to do now. And of course, we invite anyone who's watching now, whether it's live with us now or at any stage in the future, to do the same thing. Because no matter where you are or what you're doing, you probably haven't just been waiting for this for ages, and you've meditated and you stopped your life just to get onto this live right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stop for a minute and we're really going to connect. So I'm going to connect with Christy because we're having the conversation now. And I hope you guys can just stop as well and just connect with us, connect with everyone else who's watching and listening, and just connect with your environment around you now. So let's all just take a big deep breath in and let it out. And just connect. Christy, let's just connect with each other. I want to do one more. You should be able to just notice that and just feel it. Like my shoulders automatically just drop. I know usually I'm carrying my shoulders up around like this with tension there. But just going through that process just helps us kind of stop and connect. So how are you feeling, Christy? You feeling connected?
Good. As you know, me being a Christian, I pray as I'm breathing in and out for God, to be here for Jesus. Like I pray as I'm breathing in and out. So yeah, I'm centered, ready to go.
Yeah, I do a similar thing for myself before I have any a coaching session or important phone call or conversation I'm going to have with someone, where I just give myself a moment to kind of have a conversation with myself, talk to my conscious mind, my unconscious mind, my higher self, ask it to bring into my conscious awareness any of my training, anything I've learned, anything that could help the person I'm about to speak with, call my existential crew, whoever that may be at the time, to give them permission to come in and serve me in any way possible. But I think those moments really help, because I notice that one of the things that I hold myself back on in life in general is not giving myself enough time for those things in general, just to center myself, and it's just going from one situation to the next. So yeah, it helps. And you guys, if you are watching this and you struggle with that type of thing, suggest even just that 5-10 seconds, 3 breaths in, 3 breaths out, just relax. So guys, once again, thank you so much for joining us for the Self-Liberation Project podcast today. I am Nathan Hawken, and of course, this is
Christy Mokotupu. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, welcome. So today's a little bit of, you could say it's a loaded topic, but it's certainly something that we all struggle with, and it's what's holding us back, or what is holding you back, right, Christy?
That's it. Little details.
Yeah, we were just talking about it beforehand, about before we want to post it and put it up on social media, it's like we put the word what's, as in WHATS, instead of the apostrophe, and making sure it's right. But hey, that's part of being raw. So look, there's a lot we can talk about here, but to start off with, I'm just going to pass it over to Christy, because Christy's got some insights that have happened for herself and things that she'd like to share about certain things which are holding her back. So look, I'll just pass it over to you, Christy, because I'm sure you've got some really cool stuff to talk about.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Okay, so, when Nathan and I were talking about discussing what topic to talk about, I said, well, I had a conversation with my sister this week about pushing through the burn. And I was still thinking about my healing and the trauma and the things that have held me back. And I am going to say, it's continuous healing. It's never over, even today. So I wanted to talk about pushing through the burn of pain or trauma. So something that helped me to push through and to do all the things I'm doing today was really going towards pain. So it was painful experiences of the past. It was traumatic experiences of the past. And, you know, when something's painful, the last thing you want to do is walk towards it. I think I mentioned last week, David Goggins talks, the Navy SEAL talks about walking towards suffering. And I'm going to say honestly, since I became a Christian 8 years ago, the whole process for 8 years is walking towards where it's most uncomfortable, most painful, and traumatic. And I remember having a dream, and the dream was submarines coming up, and they were just coming up to the surface. And then that ended up being slowly God, when I was ready, one by one, a past experience, a traumatic experience, something of childhood, something in my adulthood would come up, and I would have to deal with it. And when that was over, the next submarine would come up. And if had I not gone through that and said, okay, God, let's go back to that experience. Let's go back to the pain I felt at the time. Let's experience it. Let's heal it. I had counselors, professional ones. I had Christian healing ministers, and I walked through each one. And to say that it's like, I'm done, I'm healed, I'm whole, I think it's, I've been learned from my elders is that, and mentors, it's a lifelong process. But that's something that I wanted to talk about, that just to make people aware, because for me, it was a blind spot. I thought I was fine. I thought I had my shit together. I was, you know, confident in my 20s. Like, it was just like, what's wrong? I'm fine. You've got the problem, not me. So it was a place of humility that said, probably something's wrong with me. I need to look within, and then knowing where to go from there, and seeking healing.
Yeah, I like that analogy of the submarines rising to the surface. It makes perfect sense. And I think a lot of people, and myself included, like, we think there is something wrong with us. And I've even noticed that when I'm speaking to my daughter or my son and they're upset, like they're just young kids, automatically I'm asking, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And so, and it's got me thinking, right? Like, consistently asking about what's wrong, is that implanting a belief that something is always wrong? Because we do, like, we think that just because we're feeling a certain way, just because we get upset or we're getting angry or there's like some emotional turmoil happening, that there's something wrong with us. Now, it's my own personal belief, and this kind of comes from my NLP training as well. But one of the presuppositions is that, look, everyone is great, incredible, amazing. They're beautiful beacons of light, and there's nothing wrong with anyone, right? They've just been learnt or taught certain things or certain belief structures which are just causing actions which aren't serving them or serving the people around them. But there's nothing wrong with you, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with these emotions. These emotions are part of us. You know, they're a natural part of us. And especially when that submarine is coming to the surface, I think it's important for people to understand that this is your unconscious mind doing the job that it's there to do. So the unconscious mind has some main purposes to serve with inside you, and one of them is bringing up or bringing certain things into your conscious awareness at a time when it knows you're able to resolve it and work through it. These things usually happen at the most inopportune time as well. Sometimes what I like to talk about is, like, you might be there washing dishes one day and suddenly a memory out of nowhere, which is charged with a major negative emotion, just comes into your mind for some reason, right? And he's like, man, where did this come from? But what we tend to do, and this is what you were saying, is like, sometimes it's so uncomfortable for us, so difficult for us to actually handle or look at it. We're just like, oh, it just doesn't feel nice. So we push it back down, right? And it's quite hard to do, because it's like a submarine. Imagine trying to push a submarine back down under the water and that pressure. But we do it. And now here it is, it's pressurized. And so what does that mean? When the submarine comes up next, it's coming up harder and it's coming up stronger as well. These are the things which really hold us back until we kind of take that step to say, you know what, I need to do something about this. Like yourself, you go through the process, you prayed on it, like you realize there's a guy telling you that it's time to work through this, you know, and you can't shy away from it anymore. You've got to run towards it. You've got to really face that fear.
Yeah, and talking about that too, you know, and if you don't heal that trauma or that trigger, I call it trigger, then it comes up when you least want it to. You know, if you walk through it now and just get it over and done with, it'll probably happen nice and privately. But if not, I find that it's come up in public, in front of a lot of people. It can be humiliating, or with people that you love. With people that you love, they can suffer because your pain is thrown onto them. Your trauma manifests onto others. And so that's why for me, it's really important to walk towards healing within, in order to stop us from holding us back from having great relationships, from going out into life and leading these happy and healthy lifestyles. But it's recognizing those triggers. It's like when something triggers you, that's instantly something, okay, maybe you should go have a look at why you're triggered. And go explore that. Explore it within. Instead of looking at it, it can be ugly, it's painful, but if you look at it as a beautiful process to go, oh, why am I triggered by that? And then go within and just enjoy the process, you could come to a beautiful place of healing and understanding of yourself, which is a beautiful thing. Lastly, I'll just say, because it's so important to love yourself and date yourself before you go out there and want to add someone else to you, right?
Yeah, right. That's the thing, right? I mean, it's that baggage that you're bringing around. Like we talk about that in relationships, taking your emotional baggage from one relationship to the next.
That's it.
And we wonder why we attract the same type of person and the same result happens. You know, it ends in whatever, like it just ends up not working out. That's because we haven't resolved all those things. It is a healing process, but it's freaking hard to face it. Right? It gets really, I don't know, I guess in my own personal experience, I've found it really challenging for when it comes up. But through the help of, I guess, my own studies, working with clients, my own coach as well, because I work with my coach about the same type of thing. Like I'd be, like, as an example, I was actually washing the dishes a few months ago. As I was going through some stuff, like a lot of my own limiting beliefs were really starting to come up. But I've gone through the process to heal them. But out of nowhere, this thought, like I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough, will come into mind. But then I would start to spiral. So like the thought comes up, and then I start telling myself all the reasons why that's true, and I just start spiraling and spiraling to the point where I'm almost in tears, because it's like I feel so worthless or useless, you know. And this is just complete bullshit as well. This is just a story that I'm telling myself. And part of that, I realize it is a story, and that story is preventing me. I'm holding myself back. But it's giving me the excuse I need to not do something which is ultimately going to help me feel more fulfilled. And my coach, Sharon, actually said to me, she's like, one of the best things you can ever do is recognize, first of all, that's your unconscious mind just giving you something that you're more than equipped to be able to handle. But when it comes up, you just recognize it. Like you said, you register. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for that thought. You know, thanks for that thought there, unconscious mind. And I realize there's something there I need to work on. I'm not going to feel bad about it now, but what I'll do is, why don't I just pass it over to you, and you can start resolving it for when the time comes where I'm able to actually sit down and do something about it or explore it a little bit deeper, because it's there for a reason. You know, it's your unconscious mind just saying, hey, you need to work this out. You know, you need to solve this. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just some shit that you need to deal with and you need to work through. And when you're able to work through it, like you said, that's where the healing is. That's where it comes out. Problem is, it usually hits us in a time, like you said, most inopportune time. It's like the worst possible time to do it. But instead of recognizing it, we just want to push it down. I just want to get it out of the way. It's like, I don't want to feel that. But man, that just comes up harder and faster later on, more explosive ways. You know, it's like when someone suddenly snaps, it's because they've spent so much time pushing everything down until the point where it's like, boom, out it all comes.
That's right. And then you talk about, okay, so I'm going towards the healing, I'm painful, and then it goes to what I talked about, the tool, which is to breathe into the burn. So it's like, okay, you have to make a choice to walk towards healing or whatever's holding you back, which is normally something, you know, well, could be something. For me, it was memories or trauma in the past that was holding me back. So I had to walk towards it, and it was painful. And there were days where I really suffered, and I had to ring my sister, and I said, I can't get out of bed. Like, it was just, you know, the counseling, it was so hard. And she was the one that, when we were just reflecting back on healing, she said, you know, it's like breathing. You just got to breathe into the burn. And I said to her, that's exactly what it was like. You just had to just keep breathing and wait for it to pass, like any storm, right? You just breathe and it's here. The storm's right on top of you. You're in the middle of it. And it's almost, and I said to her, I had a dream once and I turned to the side and before I could even turn, the tidal wave was here. So it's almost like there's nothing you can do. You didn't have time to prepare. You didn't have time to do anything. It's here, it's come, and you're just in the tidal wave. You're just in it. And in my dream, I just let go. I was just let go and I was just getting moved around and I said, your will be done, God. Either I get out of this alive or I'm going to die. But I'm just going to let the process happen and breathe through the burn or the drowning or the suffering or the pain I'm feeling as God is working through me to heal whatever it is that I was going through. And it's repeatedly the same process. And now it's got a bit easier where it's like, okay, here we go, God, let's go. Healing time. And yeah, it's painful, it's slow, it could be fast, but you've just got to just breathe slowly, live life, keep living on, and just wait for it to pass, wait for the storm to pass.
I think I said it to you before. So naturally, like my wife and I have had our own challenges throughout, because we've been together about 15 years now. And there's been times where it's like been one thing after another. It's not like massive fights or arguments. It's just, we've got our own tidal waves, right? We've got our own shit that we need to do. We've got our own submarines coming to the surface at various times and sometimes at the same time. And sometimes we spark each other's coming to the surface. And like there's times when after, I think it was a good few weeks of just emotional stuff, because we're both pretty in tune people and stuff like that. And we both want to figure things out inside ourselves, so we're both better off and we have a better relationship. But there was just one time after so many, I was just like, really? Again? It's like, come on.
That's it.
Another submarine? Do I have to do this now? There's a really cool, it's kind of a crude little drawing I show my clients a lot of the time, but if you think of like a straight line going across, and this is just you going through your life every day, everything's fine. What will happen, there'll be something that happens around here, like a significant moment that sends you down. Like down, down, down into the depths. These are the times when you have like a bit of a breakdown, or life isn't working the way you want to, you're down, you're upset, or whatever it is. But it's just down here where there's a choice that can be made. And the choice is, look, I can either live down here now and make this my new reality, which a lot of people do. You come across people in life who you would deem as angry or sad people, or just people that you don't really want to be around, the people who just don't have anything positive to say about other people. I don't see them as bad. I see them as people who are struggling. They've made a choice to stay down here for whatever reason. There's usually a purpose behind it. Or we can make a choice to actually learn what we need to learn, heal what we need to heal. And if this is the line where it was, once we figure that out, we actually go up beyond that. And this is what you would call like your next level, right, if so to speak. And whatever that next level is, that's the place that you need to be once you've made that choice. But the same thing happens after a period of time. You kind of end up back here, plateau, and then boom, something else will happen or send you down, which is where the further growth is. And it kind of sends you straight back up once you learn the lessons. And I find that once if you keep that in mind, that crude little line, just understand, like in the middle of the stuff, it's like, you know what, if I just persevere and I've got the courage to face whatever demon is coming up right now, then I can breathe through it. I can get to that next level. I know it's coming. I've just got to go with it right now. I've just got to let whatever's happening happen. And be good with it. Be good with the process. It's not like it's nice, but it's just being good with it, right?
Yeah, being good with it, and also, like I said before, is walking towards it. So when I'm going to share testimony. So when I was before I went to the Amazon jungle, Brazil, we prepared for 3 months in Hawaii. So you're in a classroom for YWAM, Youth with a Mission. I did discipleship training school. And I thought I was going in to prepare for a medical mission. So here I'm like, okay, show us all the medical info. And really what it was actual medical doctors that were Christians. And they were teaching all these principles, and they were sharing their testimonies on healing. And they were also counselors, professional counselors as well. And I'm listening, and I was going through massive healing. Like things would come up as they were speaking, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so then things about my father or my mom or my childhood, and I would start bawling my eyes out. And that a trigger rose up. And so I wanted to share two things that happened for me, just for others, in terms of things that were holding me back. So one of the things that was holding me back was not making it to the finals in the 100-meter race when I was in year 3 for the state. Because I was so used to winning, I was such a gifted in athletics and sport. When I didn't win, that's it. I decided my whole life became about winning. And so I became obsessed with winning. When they went back to the memory and healed that memory, after that, I was able to let go of all this worldly, trying to win, succeed, win, and let go and just, be happy with, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. And the other one was, that came up for me in that time of healing in that classroom, was that getting hit as a child. So my thing was, no big deal. That's how, if you love a child, you discipline them. But all the hidings as a kid, which my parents, God bless them, the best ever, but, they were just doing what they knew at the time, really affected me. And so I had an anger management issue, and that was holding me back. So they had to help me then learn to heal or process, start to heal from anger, because I had that spirit of anger in me because of how many hidings I got as a kid. So these are some of the things I'm just going to share with people, that 2 of the things out of many that when I decided to seek healing came up for me, and then I just went, wow, is that why I do what I do? Is that why I'm angry? And then I was able to heal it because I finally found the root cause.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy when we think back about like our parents, particularly if you're a parent these days. I know you are, but when it's like, am I going to do the same thing? Because I remember there was one time when I think we definitely got the wooden spoon. We certainly got a good few slaps. But like the thought of doing that to my kids now, that doesn't sit well with me for that very reason. Like, am I going to trigger some type of anger or some fear or something which is going to stop my daughter or my son later in life? Even though there's times where I'm like, oh, you deserve a smack right now because you're not listening or whatever it is, but you're really starting to get on my nerves. But the actual thought of doing it, just it's really difficult for me to even contemplate it. Like, seriously. For that very reason, because we all carry this stuff around, but like, man, it does all come back to those root causes, those times in our lives, particularly when we're quite young, that have just kind of been conditioned over the years. It's pretty wild when you think about it, right? That we do carry this stuff around. One of the things, I don't think I've mentioned it to you, but like next weekend, I'm going away for a retreat to do ayahuasca for the first time. And my reason for it was like, it's 2 reasons. One of them is because I'm at a stage in my own spiritual development to really consciously understand my connection with the universe, because it's just something I'm really drawn towards. But the other is that healing process, because I know, and I can feel it on a day-to-day basis. I know as each day gets closer to me doing it, things are coming up for me, because I know there's things I need to heal, particularly around my own self-worth. Which I didn't realize how strong a hold they had on me up until this year in particular. I think the last couple of years going through the pandemic, starting to understand the world, that increased level of fear which was around, which kind of played into my own fear about me being unable to provide for myself and my family, look after my family. But I think that's really brought a lot of this stuff up to the surface, and about like my own inabilities to be able to look after myself. Which is quite interesting, because if we think about what we did at the beginning of this call, taking a moment to stop, one of the things that I've been lacking or haven't been doing for myself, part of that is because there's this niggling thought in my head that says I'm not worth spending that extra time to do. When I stop and think about it, try and think about where does that come from, what fear or anger or anxiety does that come from? I've got no idea, but I know that I need to heal it. And for me, this calling is coming to go and do this retreat, and that's my intention of what I'm going to get out of it, because I think that's going to be one of the things, because from what I hear, that experience is going to be very full on, because it is really bringing everything right up into your face. Like the tidal wave is coming down upon you, and there's another tidal wave and another tidal wave. But I also realize that, or it's my intuition just saying, you need to sort this out. You need to let it go, because you've got another stage of your life which is about to start. Because I turned 40 at the end of the year. Not that that really makes a difference, but I realize that for what I want to do in my life, not high success or anything like that, just like to be a better person, to be a better husband and father, and just be better for myself, got to let that shit go, right? It's just, it doesn't serve me in a positive way whatsoever.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing of anything, is letting go. That's letting go of what they did to you, or a past experience, a past memory, bitterness. I mean, if you think about so many things holding us back, it requires us to like let it go. And you know, and even me, I was just having to let go of something this week, and I didn't want to let it go, you know. And my sister, finally this week, I let it go, and I was like, okay, I surrender, I let it go, God. And I've felt so much peace since then. So it's a continual process. It's never, I'm healed, I'm done. What's holding me back is over. Nothing's going to hold me back again. I think new levels, new devils. There's always going to be stuff you've got to constantly face head on, and healing and facing the things holding you back, for me, has always required humility, to say, I need to look at something in my life, not everyone else around me.
Yeah, that's true. Humility is it. And it's so hard to have that as well, because we really want to hang on to it. Like you were saying, it's like it's fulfilling a purpose. This story about why I am the way I am, why I'm angry. You know, because if I'm angry, I'm an angry person, you know. So if I'm an angry person, then okay, fine, whatever. I'm going to hang on to that because this is who I am. Well, it's like, no, not really. There's a choice there. You know, you're choosing to hang on to it because you don't want to let it go. Part of the problem is, if you're going to let go of something which has been a big part of your life, or one of the biggest parts of your life, the question comes up, and this is where a lot of fear comes up as well. Who am I without this? Yeah, bless you. It's like, who am I without this ego? Or who am I without this sadness? Who am I without my anxiety? That's a scary question, right? Because it's like, if I don't have this, that means I have to be responsible for whoever I become. And I don't know who I want to become. I don't know what my goals are. I don't even know what that would even feel like or look like. So how could I possibly let it go? Because I'm too scared to do it. And that's part of the challenge. It's like, I've got to realize that I need to. Like, the time will come where I'll just have to do it. So I might as well do it on my terms rather than just having it happen totally unexpectedly. But I think that's part of it. It's like, I really want to hang on to this because it's me. It's like, well, it's not really. You just chose to hang on to this because it's serving a purpose. But I think once you start to realize that it's having such a negative impact on yourself, that's the indication of saying it's time to let it go. It's time to be something else. I know that's scary. I know you've got no idea what's coming next, but the only thing you can do is just go with it, let go, allow yourself to be, I guess, taken by the current of life, and just go with it, and just know that whatever's coming next is going to be better than what you have now.
That's right. And talking about letting go, you know, it's my father too, when I went to go hit my son when he was little, and he's like, no, don't. He goes, you know, we didn't know better. Please don't do that. And it makes me think of, not only is it important to face what's holding us back for ourselves, which was anger for me. I had anger from those hittings, was to face that so that now I could heal from that, not have that anger, and then not pass it on to my son, to the next generation. So then it also becomes a generational thing, in order to, if we face those, you know, the hard things in our generation and heal them, like my dad helped me not to do it in my lifetime to my son. Now my son is not exposed to that, so he won't probably have that in his life, in his world. So that was another learning curve for me too, with my dad and I, and generational stuff. But that's a whole nother talk, generational talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about generational. So my dad is 85. He's quite fit as a fiddle. Generally speaking, he's starting to lose his marbles a little bit, but that's okay. So I had an older dad in general. So his generation was just totally different in the way they parented, particularly in regards to showing like emotion, or being an emotional person, and displaying that, putting that out there, understanding who you are. Because I love my dad more than anything else, but he's certainly not a guy who's in tune with his emotional state. And it's sad, but like, he never will be. But that's okay, because it's part of his journey and part of the reason why he's here. But it's certainly a big difference between parenting now and parenting then. I think it's very, exactly. Very key. It's certainly a conversation for another time, because we could talk about this all day. Because the last thing I want to do is screw up my kids, but I'm going to anyway.
I know.
In one way. But at least we've got the tools to be able to guide them through life, hopefully in a better way. So hopefully they have that confidence to be able to feel like they can do whatever they like, and they're comfortable enough inside themselves to trust their own decisions and trust what they're doing. So hopefully if I screw them up, it's just a little bit, just a tiny bit.
I think the same way about my son. I do my best, you know, I'm not perfect.
Well, that's all we can do, right? We do our best. You know, we do the best with the tools we've got. If we need more tools, we just try and find the best tools to help. But yeah, that's the way I see it.
That's it. Yeah, it's good.
Cool. So I don't think we really need anything else. I think we've touched on some good things. Is there anything else you would add towards the end of this to help people who might be struggling to be able to, first of all, uncover what's holding them back, but also let it go?
Yeah, just to breathe. Like my whole thing for this week was just to breathe into it. I think like we started like that, right? Breathing into it, and you just got to breathe through the pain, and then once you're finally in it, you surrender. And when you're in the process of surrendering, what happens? You let it go. So
Yeah.
because first you've got to acknowledge it's there. You know, something's holding me back. Okay, I've seen what it is. It's painful. This sucks. I hate it. Breathing through it. And then you're in the middle of it. You just surrender and you let just go, you know, just get over and done with. That's what I say. Just get over and done with. And then
Yeah, like a Band-Aid, right?
let it go. Yeah, that or waxing.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I haven't done
coming.
that. I'll go with the Band-Aid analogy. That's more in
Yeah.
tune with me.
Welcome to the female world. Yeah, waxing.
Yeah, cool, cool. So I'd say with that, I think one of the challenges is actually allowing yourself to do it. This is why people like either go see therapists or have a good friend or hire a coach or whatever it is, someone who's like a neutral party that can see through their story and help them with it. So I would just suggest with anyone, if you need help with it, or if you're struggling to uncover specifically what's holding you back, you know that you're holding yourself back in some way and you're just struggling to kind of pinpoint what it is so you can actually breathe through it, reach out to someone. You know, reach out to myself, reach out to Christy, reach out to a good friend, a family member, anyone who can actually just sit down and help you talk through the process. If you can, look, you can find Christy here on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. I'm on Instagram as well, not that much, but I'm going to be building up. But you can reach me at info@nathanhawken.com. Christy will share her email address as well. But the best thing you can ever do is just reach out to someone and just say, look, I'm just trying to figure this out. Don't really know how to start, but this is how I'm feeling. Can you just help me kind of clarify my thoughts, or at least help me kind of talk through the process? And that'll bring some type of clarity, which will help you start on the path to be able to let it go.
Wonderfully. Well said. Well said, Nathan.
Cool. All right. Well, let's finish up there, I guess, unless there's anything else you want to add.
Oh, no, that's good.
All right, awesome. Well, Christy, thank you so much again for rocking up for episode 5 of the Self-Liberation Project podcast. And anyone who has been watching, thank you so much for jumping on live and even watching this post live. Once again, if you need any help, you've got our details. You can reach us on Patreon as well. We both have our Patreon page if you'd like to support us some way. And if not, thank you again, and we'll catch you for next week for episode 6.
Get in there. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Good
Thank
night.
you. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.